My mother-in-law demanded, "Take the blame for my son's DUI. You have a clean record. He can't go to jail." My wife said, "Do it for the family." I replied, "I'll handle it." Then I went to the station and handed the police the dashcam footage proving her brother was driving. When they arrested him at Sunday dinner, I need to start by introducing you to my brother-in-law, Brandon. Brandon is 32 years old and has never paid his own rent. He's had 17 jobs in the last 10 years, and I'm being generous calling them jobs. Here's a partial list. Verizon's store, quit because the customers were mean. His friend's dad's company, fired for not showing up. Target, fired for, and I quote, misunderstanding the employee discount policy. He was stealing. The Chipotle one is my favorite. He quit after 2 shifts because the beans made his hands smell weird. Not the job, the beans. Specifically, the beans. He could have worked register, or done prep, or cleaned. But no, the beans personally offended him. He drives a BMW, the kind with heated seats and a sunroof. His mom bought it for him when he turned 30 because he needed reliable transportation. He'd crashed his previous car, a Honda Civic, also mom-funded, into a Walgreens because he was changing the song on Spotify. He wears Gucci belts with cargo shorts from Walmart. The man looks like a fashion emergency. He vapes indoors at family gatherings, those giant cloud-producing mods, fills the room with dragon fruit-scented fog. When asked to go outside, he says, "It's not smoke, it's vapor," like that's a defense. He once told me he was basically an entrepreneur because he sold a couch on Facebook Marketplace. Brandon is, and I mean this with complete sincerity, a walking Greek tragedy written by someone who failed English class. My wife Melissa loves her brother. Worships him, really. He's just going through a tough time, she'd say. Every time Brandon got fired, dumped, evicted, banned from a Buffalo Wild Wings for reasons he swore were totally unfair. The Buffalo Wild Wings thing? He got drunk and tried to fight the bartender over whether ranch or blue cheese was better for wings. He's a ranch guy. Passionately. Violently, as it turned out. I tolerated Brandon the way you tolerate a mosquito at a barbecue. Annoying, but not worth ruining everyone's day over. Until the DUI. Saturday, 2 a.m. My phone rings. Melissa's mom, Carol. Brandon's in trouble. The police have him. I looked at the clock, looked at Melissa, who was already sitting up, phone pressed to her ear on her side of the bed. "What happened?" I asked. "DUI investigation. He crashed your car into a mailbox on Riverside Drive. Police showed up. He blew a .15 on the breathalyzer." For context, legal limit is 0.08. Brandon was nearly twice that. "Is he hurt?" Melissa asked. "He's fine. Just shaken up. But here's the thing, he told the police he wasn't driving, that someone else was behind the wheel and ran off after the crash. He claimed he was just a passenger." I sat up straighter. "What?" "Police breathalyzed him and he was clearly drunk, so they cited him for public intoxication. But they can't charge him with DUI without proof he was actually driving. He's smart, didn't admit to anything so they towed the car and let him go pending investigation. But if they find evidence he was the driver, he's screwed. He's got 2 prior DUI convictions. This would be his 3rd. Mandatory jail time. They let him go? They couldn't prove he was driving. He's smart, didn't admit anything. But if they figure out he was actually the driver, he's screwed. He's got 2 prior DUI convictions. This would be his 3rd. Mandatory jail time." This was news to me. 2 prior convictions? One in 2019, one in 2021. Both before you and Melissa got serious. We don't talk about it. Of course they don't. Where is he now? I picked him up from the station. He's sleeping it off at my place. We need to meet tomorrow morning. Family meeting. This is serious. We hung up. Melissa was already crying. "He could go to jail," she said. "He should go to jail if he was drunk driving." They don't know he was driving. Because he lied to the police. He was protecting himself. He was obstructing justice. Don't be like that. He needs support, not judgment. I didn't argue. It was 2 a.m., but I was thinking, this is the 3rd time this year Brandon's mistakes have turned into family emergencies. Saturday afternoon, I got a call from the tow company. My car was ready for pickup. $275 towing fee. I drove over, paid it, got my car back. Minor damage, crumpled front bumper, broken headlight. The mailbox had gotten the worst of it. As I drove home, I remembered. Dashcam. I have a dashcam, front and rear. Records everything. Auto saves to internal storage when it detects impact. Sunday morning, we went to Carol's house for the emergency family meeting. Carol's house is the kind of place where live, laugh, love signs outnumber fire extinguishers. The kind of place where she offers you wine at 9 a.m. and gets offended if you say no. Brandon was on the couch, looking like a kicked puppy. Hungover. Pathetic. Somehow still wearing the Gucci belt. Carol poured coffee. Melissa sat next to Brandon, rubbing his back. "Okay," Carol said, "we need to come up with a plan." "The plan is Brandon gets a lawyer, pleads guilty, and accepts the consequences," I said. Everyone looked at me like I'd suggested we sacrifice a goat. "That's not helpful," Carol said. "It's realistic. Brandon can't go to jail. He has job prospects, opportunities. A record would ruin his life." Brandon's job prospects included maybe doing Uber, and my buddy said he might have something. His opportunities were non-existent. But sure, jail would ruin the thriving empire he'd built. "What do you want to do?" I asked. Carol looked at me, then at Melissa, then back at me. "You need to come forward as the driver." I laughed, actually laughed. "Excuse me?" Brandon told police someone else was driving, that he was too drunk to remember who. "You need to go to the police and say it was you. That you were driving, panicked after the crash, and fled. Brandon was just the passenger. You want me to confess to a crime I didn't commit. You have a clean record, no priors. First DUI, you'd get probation, maybe a fine. But Brandon? Third DUI conviction? Mandatory jail time. They'd put him away for months, maybe a year. So your plan is for me to confess to DUI, hit and run, and lying to police. It's not lying if you say you were too scared to come forward immediately. You can say you needed time to process what happened. It's absolutely lying, it's perjury, it's filing a false report, it's obstruction of justice. It's not about you, it's about family." I looked at Melissa. Surely she'd see how insane this was. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "Babe," she said quietly, "maybe we should think about it." "Think about it? Think about me lying to the police, committing perjury, and taking a criminal charge for your brother? It's not that serious. It's a felony to lie to investigators. I could lose my job, my security clearance, everything. But you wouldn't go to jail. Brandon would." I stared at her, my wife, the woman I'd married 3 years ago, who was seriously suggesting I destroy my career to save her unemployed, drunk driving, cargo shorts wearing disaster of a brother. I said, "Please." Brandon spoke up. "Man to man, I'm begging you. I can't go to jail. I wouldn't survive. You should have thought about that before you drove drunk. It was a mistake." "You made that mistake twice before." Carol stood up. "This family helps each other. If you're not willing to do this, then I don't know what you're doing in this family. Are you seriously threatening me right now? I'm asking you to step up. Be a man. Protect your family. By committing a crime. By being selfless for once." I looked around the room. Melissa, teary-eyed, pleading silently. Brandon, desperate and pathetic. Carol, self-righteous and demanding. And I realized they actually thought this was reasonable. They actually believed I should do this. "I'll handle it," I said. Relief washed over their faces. "Thank you," Carol said. "Thank you so much." "I need to make some calls," I said. "Figure out the legal side." "Of course. Do what you need to do." I left, and I went straight to the police station. Here's something I hadn't mentioned to my wife's family. I have a dash cam, front and rear, records everything, saves footage automatically when it detects an impact or sudden braking. You know what else I hadn't mentioned? Brandon had borrowed my car that night. His BMW was in the shop, transmission issues. Carol was using his as her backup car, so Brandon asked to borrow mine. "Just for a few hours, man, I'll fill the tank." I'd said fine, gave him the keys, told him to be safe, didn't think twice about it. Until the call about the DUI. That morning, after leaving Carol's house, I pulled the dashcam footage. 6:47 p.m. Brandon gets in my car. Driver's seat, starts it up, fiddles with the radio. 8:23 he pulls into a bar parking lot, O'Malley's Pub. 11:54 p.m. he stumbles out of the bar, visibly intoxicated, gets back in the car. 12 a.m. he's swerving, badly. Nearly hits a curb. 12 a.m. mailbox collision, perfect shot of Brandon behind the wheel screaming, "Oh shit." Police lights, Brandon panicking, trying to text someone, probably Carol. Cops approaching. And here's the kicker. The footage timestamp syncs with GPS data. Irrefutable proof that Brandon was driving my car at the time of the accident. I saved the footage to a USB drive. Made 3 backup copies. Then I went to the police station. The officer at the desk looked tired. Help you? I'm here about the incident last night. Brandon Matthews, the mailbox crash. You his lawyer? No. I'm the car owner. He was driving my vehicle when he crashed it. The officer's eyebrows went up. He told us someone else was driving, that he was the passenger and the driver fled. He lied. I have dashcam footage proving he was alone in the car and behind the wheel the entire time. The officer sat up straighter. You have footage? Full recording. Time-stamped. GPS synced. Shows him getting in the driver's seat, driving to a bar, drinking for 3 hours, stumbling back to the car, driving drunk, and crashing into the mailbox. All alone. No passenger. No one fled. Just him. And you're bringing this to us why? Because his family just tried to get me to confess to being the driver. Said I should come forward and say I was the one who fled. Take the fall for him since he has 2 prior DUI convictions and I have a clean record. The officer actually smiled. Family, huh? In-laws. Even worse, let me get a detective. Detective Rodriguez came out 20 minutes later. Watched the footage. Nodded a lot. Asked me a few questions. Made sure I knew I could press charges for unauthorized use of my vehicle. I declined. I just wanted the DUI off my record. This is pretty clear, Rodriguez said. We've got him dead to rights. He tried to say someone else was driving but couldn't provide details. Now we know why. What happens now? We arrest him and charge him with DUI, filing a false police report and obstruction of justice. The dashcam footage proves he was driving, which makes his statement to officers that someone else was driving a prosecutable lie. How long? 3rd DUI conviction? Mandatory minimum 90 days. Could be up to 6 months depending on the judge. Plus 3 to 5 year license suspension, heavy fines, mandatory alcohol treatment, probation. When will you arrest him? We've got his address, probably Monday morning. I thought about it. Actually, I know where he'll be Sunday afternoon. Oh? Family dinner. My mother-in-law's house. Happens every Sunday, 4 o'clock. Rodriguez grinned. You want us to arrest him at Sunday dinner? I think that's when the whole family should see the consequences of their choices, don't you? I like the way you think. I gave him the address. He said they'd swing by around 4:30. Give him time to get comfortable. Perfect. Sunday morning, Melissa asked how the legal calls went. All handled, I said. Talked to some people. Got advice. We're good. So you're gonna do it? I'm going to do what's right. She hugged me. Thank you. I know this is hard, but you're doing the right thing. Brandon will pay you back, I promise. Brandon would indeed pay, just not the way she thought. Sunday dinner at Carol's was the usual affair. Pot roast, mashed potatoes, Carol's famous, Reed mediocre apple pie. Brandon showed up late, naturally, wearing the same Gucci belt. He'd recovered from his hangover enough to be cocky again. My guy, he said, clapping me on the shoulder. I heard you're taking care of things. Respect. Seriously, I owe you. You really do. When this is over, I'm buying you dinner. Steakhouse, my treat. With whose money, I wanted to ask. But I just smiled. Melissa's dad, who'd been silent through all of this, carved the roast. We sat down. Carol said grace. Everyone ate. 4:27 p.m. Carol was telling a story about her book club. Brandon was on his phone, vaping at the table, despite Carol's no vaping inside rule that she never enforced with him. The doorbell rang. Who's that? Carol asked, mid-sentence about her book club's heated debate over whether Gone Girl was feminist or just mean. I'll get it, I said, setting down my fork with the precision of someone who'd been waiting for this exact moment. I opened the door. Detective Rodriguez and 2 uniformed officers stood there, looking every bit like the hand of justice Carol had spent years helping Brandon avoid. Is Brandon Matthews here? Rodriguez asked, official voice on, but I caught the slight smile at the corner of his mouth. He is. Come on in. I led them into the dining room, like a game show host revealing the grand prize. Everyone stopped eating, forks frozen midair, Carol's mouth literally hanging open, a piece of pot roast visible on her tongue. Brandon looked up from his phone. He'd been scrolling through Instagram, double-tapping pictures of cars he couldn't afford. He saw the cops. His face went from entitled smirk to Snow White in 0.6 seconds. The vape pen fell out of his hand, clattered on Carol's nice hardwood floor. Brandon Matthews? Rodriguez asked. Yeah? Brandon's voice cracked. He sounded 16. Stand up, please. Brandon stood, knocking his chair backwards. It hit the wall. Left a mark. Carol would find it later and probably blame me. You're under arrest for driving under the influence, filing a false police report, and obstruction of justice. Rodriguez nodded to the officers. They moved in, pulling Brandon's arms behind his back. The handcuffs clicked. That sound, that metallic snick, echoed through the dining room like a gavel. Rodriguez read him his Miranda rights. Brandon wasn't listening. He was trying to form words, but only managing sounds. What? No, this is wrong. I wasn't. Someone else was. You can't. Carol stood up so fast her chair tipped over. This is a mistake. He wasn't driving. Tell them. She pointed at me, finger shaking. Tell them you were driving. I took a sip of water, swallowed, set the glass down. I wasn't driving, I said, voice so calm it probably qualified as ASMR. Brandon was. You said you'd handle it? Her voice was reaching frequencies only dogs could hear. I did handle it. We have dashcam footage from the defendant's vehicle, Rodriguez interjected, clearly enjoying this. Clear video of Mr. Matthews behind the wheel at the time of the collision, time-stamped and GPS verified. He's also visible exiting O'Malley's pub approximately 40 minutes before the crash, displaying obvious signs of intoxication. Melissa, who'd been frozen this whole time, suddenly came back online. Her face cycled through confusion, realization, horror, and fury in about 3 seconds. You gave them footage? I gave them evidence. You recorded him? My dashcam recorded him. Automatically, because that's what dashcams do. You said you'd handle it. I did. I handled it by ensuring the actual criminal faced actual consequences instead of letting him destroy my life. Carol was screaming now, full volume. The neighbors definitely heard. You ruined his life. He's going to jail. My baby is going to jail. Your baby is 32 years old and drove drunk for the 3rd time. He ruined his own life. Brandon was being walked toward the door, crying. Not silent crying, full sob crying, hiccuping, snotty, the works. This is bullshit. You set me up. This was a setup. I stood finally, walked over to him, looked him in his red puffy eyes. Brandon, I gave the police a video of you committing a crime. That's not a setup. That's called evidence. Look it up. Oh wait, you probably can't because you'll be in jail. One of the officers snorted, tried to cover it as a cough. They took him out. Through Carol's tastefully decorated foyer, past her live laugh love sign, the irony was not lost on me, out the front door. I watched through the window as they put him in the back of the police car. He was still crying. Probably realized the BMW wouldn't be available for a while. The car drove away, lights flashing but no siren. Classy arrest. Rodriguez knew his audience. I turned back to the dining room. The dining room was silent except for Carol's sobbing. She'd collapsed into her chair, head in her hands, shaking. Melissa's aunt, who I'd forgotten was even there, whispered to her husband, "Should we go?" Melissa's dad, who'd been silent through the entire meal, through the arrest, through everything, set down his napkin, folded it neatly, placed it next to his plate. "Carol," he said quietly, "he drove drunk with someone else's car? This was going to happen eventually." Carol looked up, mascara running. "You don't understand. They'll destroy him. He won't survive jail." "Maybe he needs to be destroyed a little," her husband said. "Maybe that's what he needs to actually change." Carol looked at her husband like he'd grown a second head, sprouted horns, and started speaking Portuguese. Melissa grabbed my arm, her nails dug in. "We need to leave, now." "Sure, let me just grab my coat." "Now." I grabbed my coat, waved to Melissa's dad. "Thanks for the pot roast." He nodded, actually smiled a tiny bit. "Anytime." We went home. She didn't speak to me the whole drive. At the apartment, she exploded. "How could you do that? How could I turn in a drunk driver who tried to frame me? He's family. He's a criminal. You humiliated him. He humiliated himself. My mother will never forgive you. I don't care. I don't know if I can forgive you." I looked at her, really looked at her. "Then don't," I said. "If you think protecting your brother's drunk driving is more important than our marriage, then we don't have a marriage." "That's not fair." "What's not fair is asking me to commit a crime for him. What's not fair is your family treating me like I'm disposable. What's not fair is you choosing his criminal behavior over our relationship." "I didn't choose. You did. The second you asked me to lie to police." She was crying. "He's my brother. And I'm your husband. Or I was." "What does that mean?" It means I'm going to a hotel. It means you need to decide if you married me or your family, and it means I'm not coming back until you figure that out. I packed a bag, left, checked into a Holiday Inn Express, paid for a week. Melissa called 17 times that night. I didn't answer. Brandon got arraigned Monday morning. Bail set at $15,000. Carol paid it. He was released pending trial. He went to court 3 weeks later. Pled guilty. The footage was too damning to fight. Sentenced to 90 days in jail, 3 years probation, $5,000 in fines, mandatory alcohol counseling, and 5-year license suspension. Brandon served 75 days, got out early for good behavior. During those 75 days, Melissa stayed at her mom's. We didn't talk. Carol sent me messages calling me every name in the book. Said I was vindictive, cruel, heartless. Said I destroyed Brandon. I blocked her. Melissa's dad called me once. I think you did the right thing, for what it's worth. Someone had to stop enabling him. Thanks. Are you and Melissa going to work this out? I don't know. We didn't. Brandon got out of jail in midsummer. By then, Melissa had filed for divorce. Her grounds, irreconcilable differences. My grounds, married into a family of enablers who prioritize criminals over consequences. Judge granted it. No kids, no house, easy split. I heard through mutual friends that Brandon moved back in with Carol. Got a job at a call center, lost it after 2 months. Currently between opportunities. Carol still blames me. Tells people I set up her son, ruined his life over one mistake. Melissa's dad left Carol 6 months later. Apparently the Brandon situation was the last straw in a long line of her enabling bullshit. He's dating a yoga instructor now. Seems happy. Melissa and I don't talk. I saw her once at a grocery store. She pretended not to see me. I let her. Do I regret it? Hell no. The way I see it, I did everyone a favor. Brandon learned consequences exist. Carol learned her enabling doesn't work when people have spines. Melissa learned, well, I don't know what Melissa learned. Hopefully something. And I learned that some families aren't worth marrying into. Could I have handled it differently? Sure. I could have quietly declined and let Brandon face his consequences without the dramatic Sunday dinner arrest. But where's the fun in that? The look on Carol's face when those cops walked in? Priceless. Brandon crying as they cuffed him? Chef's kiss. Melissa realizing I wasn't the doormat she thought I was? Pure satisfaction. Some people think I was cruel, that I should have given Brandon a chance, that I ruined Sunday dinner. To those people I say, Brandon ruined Sunday dinner when he decided to drive drunk and expect everyone else to clean up his mess. I just provided the entertainment. And honestly, best Sunday dinner I ever had at Carol's house. Pot roast was still mediocre though.